You're being lied to. Not by the gurus, not by the self-help books, not by the universe. You're being lied to by the most accomplished, most intimate, and most dangerous con artist you will ever meet, yourself. That 92% failure rate isn't a statistic about weakness or a lack of willpower. It's a crime scene report. It's the chalk outline of where your stated desires died because they ran into the brick wall of your actual beliefs. For 30 years, I didn't chase criminals. I chased the truth, and the truth is never found in what people say. It's found in the details they can't hide. It's in the flicker of an eye, the clench of a jaw, the posture that screams defeat while the mouth whispers about victory. This whole world of manifestation, of creating your reality, has been sold to you as some kind of cosmic vending machine. You put in a few positive thoughts, pull the lever of visualization, and out pops the life of your dreams. It's a comforting fantasy. But in the real world, the world where consequences are swift and unforgiving, that's not how it works. Reality isn't built on wishes. It's built on congruence. It's built on the alignment between what you claim you want and what your entire being, your body, your nervous system, your unconscious patterns is broadcasting to the world. Let me tell you about a man named Franklin, a mid-level accountant we brought in for questioning about a massive embezzlement scheme. He sat across from me, sweating under the soft hum of the ventilation, and swore on his mother's grave that he was innocent. He wanted me to believe him. He was trying to manifest an outcome, his freedom. He spoke about his family, his clean record, his dedication to the company. But while his words painted a picture of an innocent man, his body was telling a different story. His feet were pointed at the door, a clear sign of a desire to flee. Every time he mentioned his boss, the man he was framing, he had a micro-expression of contempt, a slight, unilateral sneer of the upper lip. He was leaking the truth. Franklin didn't get his desired reality. He got a federal prison sentence. Why? Because the energy of his deception was more powerful than the energy of his desire. He was broadcasting guilt, not innocence. This isn't about magic. This is about behavioral science. This is about interrogation, not of others, but of yourself. We're going to dissect the 13 principles of bringing an internal state into external reality. And we're not going to use vision boards. We're going to use the same tools the FBI uses to spot a liar, the same techniques a seasoned detective uses to read a room. We're going to analyze the gap between your words and your actions, because somewhere in that gap is the reason you're stuck. It's the unconscious belief that's sabotaging your every move. Have you ever set a goal, felt excited about it, and then found yourself inexplicably procrastinating, making excuses, or actively doing the opposite? That's not a failure of discipline. That's your subconscious mind, your body, rejecting the lie you're trying to tell it. It knows you don't truly believe you deserve it, or that you're capable of it. The body keeps the score, and it doesn't play make-believe. Over our time together, I'm going to teach you how to become your own lead investigator, to stop listening to the pretty lies you tell yourself, and start paying attention to the hard evidence your behavior provides. Forget wishing. We're going to get into the business of creating, and it starts by finding the informant within. Let's get to work. The first principle is the foundation for everything that follows. Your true belief is not what you say, it's what your face betrays. Forget affirmations. Forget chanting mantras in the mirror. The human face is the most honest square footage on planet Earth, and it cannot tell a lie for more than a fraction of a second. Everything you need to know about why you're stuck is written there, but you've been trained to ignore it. We're going to change that. In the interrogation room, you learn to stop listening to the story. The story is a performance, a carefully constructed narrative designed to mislead. Instead, you watch. You watch for the leaks, the moments where the truth ruptures the surface. The most reliable leaks come from the face. I consulted on a case once involving a woman named Margaret. On the surface, she was the perfect client for a self-help guru. She came to me because she wanted to save her marriage. She said all the right things. "I'm committed to manifesting a new beginning with my husband," she'd say, her voice full of earnest emotion. "I truly believe we can be happy again." She was buying the books, doing the journaling, visualizing their happy future. But every single time she said the word husband, something fascinating happened. For less than the blink of an eye, The left corner of her mouth would tighten and pull upward. A unilateral sneer. It was a perfect, textbook micro-expression of contempt. Do you understand? Her mouth was forming the words, "I love him," but her facial muscles were screaming, "I find him pathetic." Her conscious mind was trying to manifest reconciliation, but her nervous system, the true operational headquarters, was broadcasting pure disgust. Guess which signal the universe and her husband was picking up on? Their divorce was finalized 6 months later. She called it a failure of manifestation. I called it an inevitable outcome dictated by her true, unacknowledged belief. Her body was just carrying out the orders her subconscious had already given. This isn't parlor magic, it's established science. Dr. Paul Ekman's groundbreaking research in the last century proved that there are 7 universal micro-expressions: anger, fear, sadness, disgust, contempt, surprise, and happiness. These are involuntary muscle contractions that flash across the face in as little as 1/25 of a second. You can't stop them. They are a direct pipeline to the amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center. When you try to suppress a powerful, core emotion, it leaks out through these expressions. When you say, "I am confident and worthy of a promotion," but your core belief is, "I'm an imposter and my boss thinks I'm an idiot," you might see a flash of fear, eyebrows raised and pulled together, mouth stretched, or sadness, inner corners of the eyebrows drawn up. So here's your first assignment. This is your first interrogation of yourself as the primary suspect. In the case of your own unfulfilled life, go find a mirror. Better yet, turn on the selfie camera on your phone and hit record. Now, look yourself dead in the eye. I want you to state your most important goal. Say it with all the conviction you can muster. I will earn $100,000 this year. I will lose 50 pounds. I will find a loving and supportive partner. Now, watch the tape back. Watch it in slow motion if you have to. Ignore the sound. Just watch your face at the exact moment you finish the sentence. Did you see it? The flicker of doubt, the slight furrow of the brow that signals worry, the almost imperceptible tightening around your eyes that signals fear? Or maybe, like Margaret, you saw the faint sneer of contempt for yourself and the ridiculous lie you just told. That flicker, that leak, is your real truth. That is the belief that is actually creating your reality. The words are smoke. The micro-expression is the fire. What story is your face telling when you think no one is watching? More importantly, what story is it telling you? If your face is the crime scene, your body is the getaway car. It tells the story of where you're going and how fast you're trying to get there. This brings us to the second principle, and it's one that will make many of you uncomfortable. Desperation is a broadcast, and it repels what you want. In the wild, predators can smell fear. In the civilized world, we can feel neediness. It is a frantic, dissonant energy, and it is the single greatest repellent to opportunity, to relationships, to wealth. In my world, desperation was the cologne of the guilty. The innocent can be angry, they can be scared, but they are rarely desperate. The guilty reek of it. I once interrogated a young man, let's call him Leo, in connection with a warehouse robbery. He wasn't the muscle we suspected, he was the inside man who'd provided the security codes. Leo was a masterclass in desperation. He sat across the table from me, but he wasn't really sitting. He was perched on the edge of his chair, leaning so far forward he was practically in my space. His smile was plastered on, too wide, too eager. He called me sir in every sentence. He laughed at jokes I didn't make. His hands were never still tapping, fidgeting, adjusting his collar. He was trying to sell me something, his innocence. But he was trying too hard. An innocent man doesn't sell. He states. He sits back in his chair, grounded, and tells his version of the facts. He meets your gaze with calm defiance. He isn't trying to win you over, he's waiting for you to catch up to the truth he already knows. Leo, on the other hand, needed me to believe him. His entire physiology was screaming, please validate me, please approve of me. And that neediness was the loudest confession in the room. His desperate attempt to manifest an image of a helpful, innocent witness was completely undermined by the desperate energy his body was broadcasting. We found the security code printouts in the trunk of his car an hour later. This isn't a mystical concept. It's pure physiology. When your mind is in a state of desperate lack of not having the money, The love, the success you crave, it triggers your sympathetic nervous system. This is your body's ancient fight-or-flight mechanism. It floods your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate increases. Your breathing becomes shallow and moves from your belly to your chest. Your vocal cords tighten, raising the pitch of your voice. Your muscles tense for action, leading to fidgeting and a closed, protective posture. You become a walking, talking billboard for the message, "I am in a state of emergency and lack." People feel this. They may not know what they're feeling, but they register it subconsciously as instability, risk, and weakness. And they back away. Think about the world of dating. Who is more attractive? The person who texts you 10 times a day, lavishes you with compliments immediately, and constantly seeks reassurance? Or the person who is confident, has their own life, and interacts with you from a place of calm self-possession, wanting to get to know you but not needing your approval? It's not a contest. One is a beggar, the other is an equal. Desperation begs, confidence attracts. This applies everywhere. The business owner who is desperate for a sale offers discounts too quickly. The job applicant who is desperate for the position accepts a lowball offer. Your desperation lowers your value in real time. I want you to take a moment and just feel your body right now. Are your shoulders hunched? Is your jaw clenched? Are you breathing into your chest or your belly? When you think about your biggest goal, do you feel a frantic, grasping energy rise up inside you? That, right there, is the signal you are broadcasting. It's the invisible force field that is likely pushing away the very thing you are chasing. Before you can attract anything, you have to stop repelling it. And that starts by changing your physiological state from one of desperate lack to one of grounded confidence. We've seen how the body leaks truth through micro-expressions and broadcasts desperation through its posture. Now we go to the source code. The gurus have a word for it that makes most logical people cringe: vibration. They tell you to raise your vibration. It sounds like nonsense. So let's strip away the mysticism and replace it with hard science. Principle number 3 is this: your dominant physiological state is the magnet, and your life is the metal. You don't attract what you want. You attract what your body is already accustomed to feeling. Think of it as your internal home base. Is your home base a state of simmering anxiety, low-grade frustration, cynical disappointment, or is it calm, grounded presence? Most people think their feelings are a reaction to their life. That's backwards. Your habitual feeling state is the cause of your life because it dictates the choices you make, the opportunities you perceive, and the people you resonate with. I learned this lesson not in an interrogation room, but in a beat-up sedan on a 12-hour stakeout. When you put a rookie detective on surveillance, they're a mess. They're running on adrenaline and cheap coffee. Their heart is pounding, their leg is bouncing, their eyes are darting everywhere, trying to see everything at once. Their physiological state is one of high alert, anxious anticipation. By hour 6, they're exhausted and jumpy, mistaking civilians for suspects. They burn out. The veteran detective looks like he's napping. His breathing is low and slow, coming from his diaphragm. His posture is relaxed. His heart rate is steady. He's not in a state of frantic waiting. He's in a state of patient readiness. His body isn't screaming, "I hope something happens." It's calmly broadcasting, "I am ready for whatever does." He can sit there for 18 hours and be just as effective in the final minute as he was in the first because he has mastered his internal state. He attracts the outcome he wants: a successful observation. By becoming physiologically congruent with it, there's a direct, measurable science to this. It's called heart rate variability, HRV. HRV is the measure of the variation in time between each heartbeat. A high HRV, where the rhythm is coherent and smooth, is the sign of a healthy, relaxed, and resilient nervous system. This state is associated with positive emotions like gratitude, calm, and joy. A low HRV, where the rhythm is jagged and chaotic, is a direct indicator of stress, fear, anger, and anxiety. Your so-called vibration is literally the electromagnetic signal your heart is sending through your body. A chaotic internal signal will, without fail, orchestrate a chaotic external reality. You can't make clear-headed decisions from a state of chaos. You can't see opportunities when your body is stuck in a threat response. You are not a passenger in this vehicle. You are the driver. You can change your physiological state on command. Let's do it now. This isn't a meditation, it's a mechanical adjustment. I want you to take a double inhale through your nose, one big sniff followed immediately by a smaller one to inflate your lungs completely. Now, exhale everything through your mouth, long and slow, like you're fogging a mirror. Let's do it again. Double inhale through the nose. Long, slow exhale through the mouth. One more time. Sniff, sniff, and a slow release. What happened? You probably feel a little calmer. Your shoulders may have dropped. This is called a physiological sigh, and it is the fastest known way to manually calm your nervous system. You just offloaded carbon dioxide, slowed your heart rate, and told your brain's panic center to stand down. You just deliberately changed your state. You changed your frequency. Is your life defined by the chaotic rhythm of stress or the coherent rhythm of calm? What is the home base you return to 50 times a day without even realizing it? Because that state isn't just a feeling. It's the assembly line for your future. You've learned to spot your own lies and to manage your physiological state. Now we address the biggest lie modern culture sells you, the gospel of hustle. You're told to grind, to force it, to outwork everyone. This brings us to principle number 4, and it contradicts almost everything you've been taught. Hustle is the noise of a machine that's out of alignment. Effortless action is the hum of one that's perfectly calibrated. When you have to use brute force, it's a confession that your internal state is not a match for your desired outcome. In law enforcement, there are 2 ways to enter a hostile building. The first is the dynamic entry, the SWAT team. This is hustle personified. It's loud, violent, and chaotic. You use explosives, battering rams, and overwhelming force. You break things. It's a high-energy, high-risk, brute force solution born from the belief that you are on the outside and need to fight your way in. Sometimes it's necessary, but it's messy and it's a gamble. The second way is the deep infiltration, the undercover operative. This is alignment. The agent doesn't kick the door down. They spend months, even years, becoming the kind of person who belongs inside. They learn the language, adopt the mannerisms, and change their internal identity until it is a perfect match for the environment. When they finally walk through the door, they don't force it. They use a key. Their actions are quiet, precise, and devastatingly effective because they come from a place of authentic being, not frantic doing. They don't have to hustle, they simply have to be. Which approach do you think is more powerful? Which one are you using in your own life? This isn't a call for laziness. It's a call for efficiency. Hustle operates on a finite resource, willpower. When you're forcing yourself to make the cold calls, go to the gym, or write the book, you are burning through cognitive fuel at an unsustainable rate. You are fighting your own internal resistance. This is what leads to burnout and decision fatigue. It's neurologically inefficient. Action from alignment, however, feels different. It feels like a flow state. This is a neurological state where your conscious and subconscious minds are in perfect harmony. Action becomes an effortless extension of your intention. There is no internal friction, so 100% of your energy is directed toward the task. You're not pushing the river, you're flowing with it. Let's look at 2 business owners. The first is a hustler. He's up at 4 a.m., mainlining coffee. His schedule is packed, 50 cold calls, 10 social media posts, 3 networking events. He's fueled by the fear of not doing enough. His energy is scattered, frantic, and desperate. He's kicking down every door he sees, and he's exhausted. The second is aligned. She also wakes up early, but she spends the first hour in silence, clarifying her core intention for the day. Her goal isn't activity, it's impact. Instead of 50 cold calls, she identifies the one perfect strategic partner and crafts a single, compelling email. Instead of 10 random posts, she writes one thoughtful article that resonates deeply with her ideal client. Her actions are fewer, but they are potent. They feel inspired, not forced. The hustler is trying to manifest success by screaming at the world. The aligned owner is manifesting it by becoming a person whose success is inevitable. So I ask you, look at your to-do list. Look at your daily routine. Is it a reflection of inspired action or a monument to fearful activity? Are your efforts fueled by a clear, calm internal state? Or are you just running on the hamster wheel of hustle, hoping that sheer exhaustion will eventually be mistaken for progress? Stop trying to kick the door down. The real work is to step back, calm your nervous system, and begin forging the key. We've covered belief, desperation, physiology, and the fallacy of hustle. All of these are symptoms. Now we drill down to the source of the infection. This is the master principle, the one that governs all the others. Principle number 5, you will never outperform your own self-image. Your life, your income, your relationships will never sustainably rise above the level you feel you deserve. Your subconscious has an invisible ceiling for how much success, love, and happiness you are allowed, and if you exceed it, it will engineer a crisis to bring you back down to your comfort zone. In my work, I saw this play out not as a failure to achieve success, but as an inability to handle it. I remember a small-time bookie we'll call Donnie. We brought him in on a racketeering charge, but our case was thin. His lawyer told him to say nothing but his name. It was a simple instruction. All Donnie had to do was accept the gift of our weak case and walk away free. He couldn't do it. He sat in that room and started talking, not confessing at first, just helping. He'd correct me on minor, irrelevant details of the case. He'd offer alternative theories. He was trying to be cooperative, to show what a good guy he was. But what he was really doing was keeping himself in the hot seat. He kept talking until he contradicted himself, talked himself into a corner, and gave us the leverage we needed. Why would a man snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? Because on a subconscious level, Donnie didn't believe he deserved to get away clean. His entire identity was wrapped up in being a small-time screw-up. The idea of outsmarting the authorities was so far outside his self-image that his subconscious mind had to correct the error. It had to bring reality back into alignment with his deep-seated belief. I am a guy who gets caught. He didn't manifest freedom, he manifested the outcome that felt most familiar and, on some level, most deserved. Psychologists call this phenomenon upper limiting. You have an internal thermostat for joy and success. When the temperature in your life gets hotter than what you're used to, you unconsciously find a way to turn on the air conditioning. This often manifests as picking a fight with a loved one right after a moment of deep connection, getting sick right before a major presentation, or losing your keys right after you get a big promotion. It's your brain's way of maintaining homeostasis, of keeping you safe in the familiar territory of not too good. Your brain prefers a predictable struggle over an unfamiliar success. The signals of a low self-worth ceiling are subtle, but they are everywhere. Do you deflect compliments? When someone says, "Great job on that project," do you immediately say, "Oh, it was nothing," or point out a flaw? That's a verbal broadcast that you don't feel worthy of the praise. Do you apologize for things that aren't your fault? Do you use vocal uptalk, where your statements sound like questions, seeking approval? Do you physically shrink when a perceived authority figure enters the room? These are not personality quirks. They are leaks. They are tells that reveal the boundary of your own invisible fence. They are signals to the world that you can be had for a discount. I want you to think about the last great thing that happened to you. A success at work, a wonderful date, an unexpected windfall. What was the very next thing you did? Did you celebrate it fully? Or did you find yourself worrying, thinking, "This is too good to be true," and waiting for the other shoe to drop? That anxiety is the sound of your internal alarm system going off. It's warning you that you're approaching the electric fence of your own self-worth. The most important work you will ever do is not to chase success, but to expand your capacity to handle it. We've established the importance of your internal state, your belief, your physiology, your self-worth. Now we turn to how that state interacts with the outside world. This is where the rubber meets the road. Society tells you to be a go-getter, to be aggressive, to take what's yours. This is tactical suicide. Principle number 6 is about a more refined and infinitely more powerful approach. Forcing a desired outcome creates equal and opposite resistance. Being receptive creates an opening for the outcome to arrive. The universe, like a suspect in an interrogation, does not respond well to pressure. It shuts down. To get what you want, you don't push harder, you become more open. In a hostage negotiation, the amateur thinks their job is to talk. They get on the bullhorn, they make demands, they lay out their terms. They try to control the situation through verbal force. They are a battering ram. The result is almost always escalation. The person on the other end feels pressured, unheard, and becomes more entrenched in their position. The master negotiator understands their primary job is to listen. They create a vacuum. They ask open-ended questions. Help me understand what you're trying to achieve today. And then they employ the most powerful tool in human interaction, strategic silence. They create a space of such profound receptivity that the subject feels compelled to fill it with the truth, their fears, their motivations, their needs. The negotiator doesn't force a solution. They create an opening that pulls the solution toward them. This dynamic is rooted in basic neuroscience. When you try to force your will on someone, whether it's a client, a romantic partner, or your own subconscious mind, you trigger a threat response. Their amygdala lights up, they go into a defensive crouch, and their sole priority becomes resisting your influence. You are perceived as a threat to their autonomy. However, when you adopt a receptive posture, active listening, genuine curiosity, asking questions, you do the opposite. You signal safety. You trigger the social engagement parts of their brain, making them feel seen and respected. Their defenses lower. They become open to your influence not because you pushed them, but because you allowed them to move in your direction willingly. Let's apply this to a career. The forcing employee wants a promotion. They storm into their boss's office armed with a list of their accomplishments and a speech about why they deserve it. The entire interaction is about them, their needs, their demands. This immediately puts the boss on the back foot, forced to defend their position. It's an adversarial encounter. The receptive employee schedules a meeting and starts by asking questions. I'd love to understand your vision for the team over the next year. What are the biggest challenges you see on the horizon? Where could an emerging leader make the biggest impact? This employee isn't pushing an agenda. They are creating a vacuum for their boss to fill with their needs and desires. By being receptive, they gather critical intelligence and position themselves not as a demand to be met, but as a solution to a problem. One is a hammer, seeing every situation as a nail. The other is a key, shaping themselves to fit the lock. Look at your own interactions. In a conversation, are you truly listening, or are you just waiting for your turn to talk? When you want something from someone, is your first impulse to state your case, or to understand theirs? Do you approach your goals like a conquest, an act of forcing your will upon the world? Or do you approach them like a courtship, an act of creating an irresistible invitation? The strongest force in the universe is not a push, but a pull. We've talked about receptivity, about creating a vacuum instead of forcing a result. Now we're going to program the nature of that vacuum. Most people think gratitude is a soft, sentimental platitude, a nicety. This is a profound misunderstanding of a powerful cognitive weapon. Principle number 7 is this: gratitude is not a feeling, it is an active surveillance protocol. For your brain, you are not trying to feel good, you are training your brain what to look for. What you consistently scan for, you will inevitably find. When a forensics team is working a crime scene, they are given a directive. We're looking for a specific caliber of shell casing, or we're looking for fibers from a blue coat. The moment they get that directive, their perception shifts. Out of the chaos of the scene, those specific items seem to pop out. Their brains have been primed. The human brain has a network of neurons in the brainstem called the reticular activating system, or RAS. Think of it as the bouncer at the nightclub of your conscious mind. It decides what information from the billions of bits bombarding you every second gets past the velvet rope. You can program this bouncer. Most people have their RAS programmed by default. It's programmed by the news, by past traumas, by societal fears. Its default search pattern is scan for threats, scan for problems, scan for what's missing. As a result, that's the reality they experience. They walk into a room and their brain immediately logs the grumpy person in the corner, the stain on the carpet, and the clock that's running 5 minutes late. A life lived this way becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy of lack and disappointment. Gratitude is the act of deliberately seizing the control panel of your RAS and issuing a new directive. Scan for assets, scan for opportunities, scan for evidence of support. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about building a case file so compelling that the problems lose their power. In an investigation, you don't ignore contradictory evidence, but you win by building an overwhelming mountain of evidence for your own case. Your current negative state is based on a mountain of evidence you've been unconsciously collecting for years. The practice of gratitude is the start of your counter-investigation. Neurochemically, when you actively search for and focus on things to be grateful for, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the neurotransmitters of motivation and well-being. It is a direct chemical intervention that lifts you out of a threat-based state and into a state of higher cognitive function. You literally think better when you're grateful. So here's your next assignment. I don't want you to keep a gratitude journal. That sounds soft. I want you to start an evidence log. For the next 7 days, you are a detective building a case that the universe is conspiring in your favor. Each night, before you sleep, you are to log a minimum of 3 new, distinct pieces of evidence from your day. This can't be a vague platitude like "I'm grateful for my family." It must be a specific, observable fact. My coworker brought me a coffee without my asking. I caught the train just as the doors were closing. I found a parking spot right in front of the store. You are not doing this to feel warm and fuzzy. You are doing this to retrain your internal surveillance system, one data point at a time. You are consciously redirecting your focus from the evidence of lack to the evidence of abundance. What is the search query your mind is running right now, on autopilot? Is it finding all the reasons you're stuck? Or is it actively seeking out the proof that you are supported, that things are working, and that opportunity is everywhere? You are the chief investigator of your own reality. What evidence are you choosing to admit? We've reprogrammed your brain's search pattern with the evidence log. Now we hunt for the saboteur inside your own walls. We are going to apply the principles of criminal profiling to your own mind. Principle number 8 is this: your life is not a series of random events. It's the repeated execution of a hidden script. To change your life, you must first find the script. You have to identify your own modus operandi. When the Bureau is hunting a serial offender, they're not just looking for a person, they're looking for a signature, a pattern. Does the arsonist always use the same type of accelerant? Does the burglar always enter through a kitchen window? This MO is a psychological fingerprint. It's the unconscious, compulsive loop of behavior that reveals the perpetrator's inner world, their beliefs, and their limitations. It allows us to predict their next move. You have an MO. You have a signature way of handling success, a predictable pattern for dealing with failure, a recurring script for how your relationships unfold. It's the reason you find yourself in the same type of argument with different partners, or facing the same financial crisis every few years. These aren't isolated incidents of bad luck. They are scenes from a script you are unconsciously reenacting. The most insidious part of this script is your own internal monologue, the constant stream of self-talk running in the background of your mind. This isn't philosophy, it's neurology. Your brain is an efficiency engine. To conserve energy, it automates any thought or behavior you repeat frequently. It carves these patterns into neural pathways in a part of the brain called the basal ganglia. At first, it takes effort, but soon it becomes an unconscious habit. That critical voice in your head telling you you're not good enough, that's not an objective truth, it's a well-worn neural pathway. That compulsive need to check your phone when you feel a moment of boredom, that's a neurological loop. You are not weak or undisciplined, you are simply running outdated software. The first step to rewriting the code is to see it in action. Here is your next assignment. For the next 48 hours, you are a profiler on a live surveillance mission. The target is you. Get a small notebook and a pen. Your job is to observe the suspect and log their MO without judgment. You are to document 2 things. 1. The inner critic's dialogue. The moment you catch that negative, automatic voice in your head, you write it down verbatim. Not what you think it said, but the exact words. You're going to fail this. That person thinks you're an idiot. You'll never get out of debt. Treat these thoughts not as truths, but as verbal tics of the suspect. They are simply data points. 2. Behavioral loops. You will document every instance of a compulsive, recurring behavior, especially the ones that sabotage you. Felt stressed about work, so I opened the fridge and ate junk. Received a compliment, immediately changed the subject. Felt a moment of peace, instantly started worrying about a future problem. You are not to fix these things. You are not to analyze them. You are simply to observe and record. A profiler cannot create a profile without first gathering the evidence. For 48 hours, You are gathering the evidence of the unconscious patterns that have been secretly running your life. What is the repeating story you tell yourself that always seems to come true? That story is your MO. It's the ghost in your machine, and you cannot exorcise a ghost you cannot see. You've profiled the saboteur in your mind. You've identified its MO. Now, we shift from internal surveillance to external influence. If you want to change your reality, you must learn to interact with the people in it more effectively. Principle number 9 is a technique straight from the Bureau's playbook on building deep, unbreakable rapport. Consciously mirroring another's state is the fastest way to bypass their conscious mind. You don't win an argument with logic. You win trust by attuning to another person's nervous system. Humans are herd animals. Our deepest, most primitive instinct is the need to belong, to be safe within the tribe. We are subconsciously scanning every person we meet for a simple signal. Are you like me? If the answer is yes, defenses come down. If the answer is no, walls go up. The fastest way to send the signal, I am like you, has nothing to do with the words you say. It's about becoming a mirror. I was once observing the interrogation of a young, arrogant gang member. He was hostile, leaning aggressively over the table, speaking in rapid-fire bursts. The first detective went in with a confrontational style, matching his aggression. It was a disaster. Two dominant animals fighting for territory. No information was exchanged. Then, my mentor went in. He was a master of this technique. He sat down and, for the first few minutes, said very little, but he mirrored the suspect perfectly. The kid leaned forward. My mentor leaned forward. The kid spoke in short, clipped sentences. My mentor did the same. The kid tapped his fingers on the table, and a moment later, my mentor subtly tapped his own pen. A fascinating thing happened. After about 5 minutes of this, the suspect's posture began to soften. He leaned back slightly, and because my mentor was in perfect rapport, he leaned back, too. The kid's speech began to slow down. My mentor's speech slowed to match. Without a single logical argument, my mentor had taken control of the room's energy. He matched the suspect's aggressive state, built a bridge of unconscious trust, and then gently led him down to a state of calm cooperation. The kid felt so profoundly and unconsciously, understood that he gave up information the first detective couldn't get with a sledgehammer. This works because of a specific set of brain cells called mirror neurons. These neurons fire not only when you perform an action, but also when you see someone else perform that same action. They are the neurological basis of empathy. When you subtly mirror someone's posture, their gestures, the cadence of their voice, you are literally causing the parts of their brain that are creating that behavior to light up. On a deep, primitive level, their brain says, "This person is me." This isn't a cheap party trick. It's a direct, nonverbal communication with another person's nervous system that bypasses their critical, analytical mind. Here is how you will practice this. The next time you are in any conversation of consequence with your boss, a client, a potential partner, I want you to dedicate 20% of your attention to your words and 80% to observing and matching their physiology. Are they leaning back? Casually lean back. Are they gesturing with their right hand? A minute later, make a small gesture with yours. Are they speaking softly and slowly? Lower your own volume and match their tempo. This is not mimicry. Do not be a caricature. The key is subtlety, with a few seconds of delay. You are not copying them, you are resonating with them. You are tuning your instrument to their frequency. The goal is to make the other person feel felt. When people feel understood on a physiological level, they become open. They want to cooperate. They want to connect. Do you walk into a room and impose your energy on others? Or do you have the skill to read the room, attune to its key players, and then lead the energy where you want it to go? The former is brute force. The latter is true power. You've learned to profile yourself and influence others. Now we address the dimension of time. Our culture glorifies speed and constant action, creating a frantic sense of urgency. This is a trap. It's the enemy of precision and the ally of mistakes. Principle number 10 is about reclaiming your power over the clock. Urgency is a symptom of fear. Perfect timing is a function of alignment. The need to act now is almost always a sign that you are operating from a place of lack. The calm knowledge of when to act is the signature of true power. In an interrogation room, the amateur's worst enemy is silence. They feel an urgent compulsion to fill it. If the suspect isn't talking, they think the interview is failing. So they pepper them with questions, they restate facts, they fidget. Their urgency is a broadcast of their own anxiety. It gives the suspect all the power. The seasoned detective, however, understands that silence is a weapon. They will ask one, single, well-crafted question, and then lean back and wait. The pressure in the room becomes immense. But the pressure is not on the detective, it's on the suspect. The suspect's mind, desperate to escape the crushing weight of that silence, will do one of two things. It will either blurt out the truth to alleviate the pressure, or it will invent a lie. And a lie born from that kind of urgent, internal panic is always a sloppy one, full of holes. The detective's patience, their mastery of timing, forces the suspect to defeat themselves. This is a direct reflection of your own neurology. The feeling of urgency is a product of your amygdala, the brain's primitive fear center. It screams, act now or you will lose the opportunity. Act now or you will be left behind. When the amygdala is in control, it hijacks your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, long-term strategy, and impulse control. Decisions made from urgency are reactive, short-sighted, and almost always serve to simply relieve the anxiety of the moment, rather than to achieve the best long-term outcome. Proper timing, on the other hand, is born from a calm nervous system. It's when your prefrontal cortex is fully online. It's the moment when your conscious desire, your subconscious belief, and the external circumstances all click into place. Action from this state doesn't feel frantic or forced. It feels natural, obvious, and inevitable. It's the difference between frantically chasing a butterfly with a net and sitting still until it calmly lands on your shoulder. The outcome is the same, but the energy expended is worlds apart. Think about making a major purchase like a car. The urgent buyer operates from FOMO, fear of missing out. The salesman tells them the special offer ends today, and their amygdala lights up. They rush the decision, ignore their gut feelings, and sign the papers, driven by the fear of loss. They often end up with a car they don't love and a payment they can't afford. The buyer who understands timing is clear on what they want and what they're willing to pay. They feel no pressure from the salesman's manufactured urgency. They are willing to walk away. They wait until the exact right car at the exact right price appears. Their final action, signing the papers, is swift and decisive, but it comes from a place of grounded certainty, not anxious haste. I want you to examine your own decision-making process. Think about your last 3 significant choices. Were they born from a frantic sense of I have to do this now or else? Did your body feel tight and your breathing shallow as you acted? That's the signature of urgency. Or did they come from a place of quiet clarity, a feeling of yes, the time is now, where your body felt calm and your mind was clear? Stop letting fear hold the stopwatch. The most powerful move is often to wait, to gather more intelligence, and to act only when your internal state is in perfect alignment with the external opportunity. We have dissected your internal world, from your deepest beliefs to your unconscious patterns. But even the most profound internal shift will wither and die if it is not supported by your external world. This brings us to the logistics of transformation. Principle number 11 is about application. A new identity is not a decision, it's an environment. Willpower is for amateurs. Professionals redesign their surroundings to make their desired behaviors inevitable. When an agent goes deep undercover to infiltrate an organization, they don't just get a new name and a fake ID. They build what's called a legend. It's an entire life, constructed from the ground up. They move to a new neighborhood. They get a job that fits their cover. They start drinking at the right bars, eating at the right diners, using the right slang. They create hundreds of small, daily rituals that are congruent with their new identity. They do this because they know that willpower is unreliable. You can't pretend to be a biker if you go home every night to a pristine suburban house and listen to classical music. Your environment will betray you. The agent's new habits and surroundings reinforce the new identity until it becomes second nature. The legend becomes real. You are going undercover as the person you want to become. Your current environment is likely designed to keep your old identity perfectly in place. It's full of cues that trigger your old habits and patterns. The science of this is clear. A habit is not just a behavior, it's a neurological loop consisting of a cue, a routine, and a reward. The most effective way to change a habit is not to fight the routine, but to eliminate the cue. If you want to stop eating junk food, the heroic method is to use willpower to resist the cookies in your pantry. The professional method is to throw the cookies in the trash. You remove the cue. This is about becoming the architect of your own behavior. We will use two strategies: habit stacking and environmental design. Habit stacking is the process of linking a new, desired habit to an old, established one. Your brain loves this. It's like adding a new car to a train that's already moving. For example, after I pour my morning coffee, your existing habit, I will spend 2 minutes doing the physiological sigh breathing, your new habit. Or when I take off my work shoes, existing habit, I will immediately change into my gym clothes, new habit. You're not trying to find new motivation, you're leveraging old momentum. Environmental design is even more powerful. I want you to conduct a counterintelligence sweep of your own home, your car, and your office. Your mission is to identify and neutralize every single cue that triggers your old MO, and to strategically place cues that trigger your new identity. If you want to be a financially successful person, is your desk buried under a pile of unpaid bills and clutter? That is an environmental cue for chaos and lack. Clear it. Create a clean, organized space that signals order and prosperity. If you want to be a healthy person, what's on your kitchen counter? A cookie jar or a bowl of fruit? One is a cue for your old self, the other is a cue for your new one. Look at your phone. Is the home screen filled with distracting social media apps that cue you to waste time? Replace them with a finance tracker or a meditation app. Who are the first 5 people in your text messages? Do they represent your future or your past? You cannot expect to build a new life if you are living on a movie set that was built for an old character. Your environment is a constant stream of nonverbal instructions to your subconscious mind. Right now, it is either collaborating in your transformation or it is sabotaging it. Your job is to make it an active and willing accomplice. We are approaching the end of this briefing. You have learned how to manage your internal state and engineer your external environment. There is one final paradox we must address, and it is the most advanced principle of all. It's the art of letting go. Principle number 12 is this: the obsessive need for control is a broadcast of disbelief. True power is found in strategic surrender. You do the work with absolute precision, and then you take your hands off the wheel and trust the work you have done. Think of a long-term undercover operation. You spend months building your legend, placing your surveillance, and gaining trust. The setup is everything. Once the informant is in place or the bug is active, the most dangerous thing you can do is meddle. The amateur gets anxious. They want to check the equipment every day. They want to meet with the informant too often. This need to constantly control the situation, to make sure it's working, is what gets them caught. It's a sign of their own fear and their lack of faith in the setup. The professional does the setup with meticulous, obsessive detail. They check every variable, and then they walk away. They let the operation breathe. They surrender to the process they have put in motion. They monitor from a distance, but they do not interfere. They understand that their job was the setup. The results are now in the hands of the system they created. This is not weakness. It is the ultimate act of operational confidence. Your mind works the same way. Your conscious mind is the agent that sets up the operation. It's brilliant at focused, linear tasks, setting the goal, designing the environment, installing the new habits. But it is terrible at managing complex, non-linear outcomes. When you obsessively worry about how something will happen or when it will happen, you are using your conscious mind to do a job it's not designed for. It's like trying to land a 747 with a video game controller. This creates immense cognitive strain, anxiety, and it actively interferes with the process. Surrender is the act of handing the file over to your subconscious mind and the universe at large to execute the mission. Your subconscious is the supercomputer. It can process billions of bits of information per second. It works on the problem in the background, connecting dots your conscious mind could never see. But it can only do its best work when you stop micromanaging it with worry and doubt. The gardener who plants a seed does not dig it up every morning to check its progress. That act of control would kill the seed. The gardener prepares the soil, plants the seed, provides water and sun, and then trusts the immutable process of germination. They surrender to a power and a timeline greater than their own. So I ask you, where are you digging up the seeds in your own life? Are you constantly refreshing your email, waiting for that one specific reply? Are you checking your phone every 2 minutes to see if they texted back? Are you staring at your bank account, trying to will the numbers to change? Every one of those actions is an act of profound disbelief. It's a signal to yourself and to the world that you don't trust the work you've done. The real work is to set the operation in motion with such precision and integrity that you can afford to let it go. Do your part, then get out of your own way. We have arrived at the final principle. You have learned to become a master investigator of your inner world and a deliberate architect of your outer world. But you do not operate in a vacuum. The final piece of the puzzle is understanding the environment of belief you exist in. Principle 13. You are a node in a network, and your reality is co-created by the collective belief of that network. Success is a team sport, even when you think you're playing alone. Think of a jury room. 12 strangers are brought together. In the beginning, there are 12 individual realities, 12 different interpretations of the evidence. But over hours of deliberation, a collective reality begins to form. One or two strong, coherent voices can start to sway the others. Doubt from one person can infect another. A shared belief begins to emerge, creating a powerful field that pulls the outliers into alignment. By the time they deliver a unanimous verdict, they have co-created a single, legally binding reality. This is not magic, it's group psychology. Now, look at your own life. Who is in your jury box? Who are the people whose thoughts, beliefs, and expectations make up your daily environment? If you are surrounded by a network of cynics, doubters, and critics, their collective disbelief in your potential creates a powerful headwind. You are constantly fighting their version of reality. Conversely, if you deliberately immerse yourself in a network of collaborators, mentors, and high achievers, their collective belief creates a massive tailwind. Their assumption of what is possible becomes your new baseline. You are not just leveraging your own belief anymore, you are plugging your operation into a grid of amplified, collective belief. This is the most profound form of leverage that exists. This concludes the briefing. Let's review the file. We have established 13 core principles for a complete overhaul of your operational reality. 1. Belief detection. Your face betrays your true beliefs through micro-expressions. 2. Desperation signals. Neediness is a repulsive force broadcast by your body. 3. Physiological state. Your default emotional state is the magnet for your results. 4. Alignment versus hustle. Effortless action hums, frantic hustle grinds. 5. Self-worth signals. You cannot outperform your own self-image. 6. Receptive versus forcing. Pushing creates resistance, allowing creates openings. 7. Gratitude as surveillance. You find what you program your brain to look for. 8. Unconscious patterns. Your life is the printout of your hidden MO. 9. Mirroring. You build rapport by attuning to another's nervous system. 10. Timing versus urgency. Fear is in a hurry, wisdom is patient. 11. Lifestyle integration. Your environment is the assembly line for your identity. 12. Strategic surrender. You gain control by letting go of the outcome. 13. Network influence. Your reality is co-created by the beliefs of your tribe. This has not been entertainment. This is an operational manual. The file is now yours. Your life is either the scene of a crime you keep committing against yourself, or it is the greatest case you will ever solve. The choice is yours. Here's your final directive. I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to be effective. Choose one of these principles. Just one. The one that hit you the hardest. For the next 7 days, I want you to apply it with the focus of a detective on a career-making case. Go to the comments section right now and declare which principle you are choosing. That declaration is your signature on a new contract with yourself. It's your first official act as the lead investigator of your own future. Stop wishing for a different life. Stop hoping for a breakthrough. The clues are all there. It's time to do the work. The truth of who you are and what you can create is waiting to be uncovered.